goddess and goddess, Faith, and we're going to talk about chakras today. And what the heck are they? Because everybody has a question about what are chakras. They're always asking me when I do this Reiki or when I talk about yoga, they're like, what the heck are you talking about? What is a chakra? So let's get into it. A chakra is you can visualize it as a pool of swimming light. There are 7 of them in the array of the color of the rainbow, red being at the bottom, violet and white being at your crown. And think of these pools of light as something that blooms and closes. Think of it as something that can be very, very bright and very, very dim. Think about your chakras in the sense of that. How your chakras are balanced and stuff kind of affects and does kind of make up the characteristics of your aura. So it can display aspects of your personality or what you've gone through or what you are going through at the moment. So your chakras, being in alignment shows that, you are in a sense of stability or you have found a way to be stable versus if you have like a closed heart chakra, a closed root chakra, a closed sacral chakra, it tells you that maybe there was, some type of heartache, or if you have a closed throat chakra, maybe you can't express yourself the way you want to. But we're going to get into it. So this is also a school of thought in Eastern cultures, specifically Asian cultures, when they talk about chakras and like Ayurvedic medicine. So basically what this means is that they feel like these are portals of energy that we emit aspects of ourselves through, and we also absorb part of the environment around us. So we're very sensitive to the things that happen to us, that happen around us. So we have to be cognizant about sometimes our feelings might come up and we don't understand them because we're just being in the moment and we're being present, and that's something difficult because a lot of times we don't like to do that. So basically chakras are pools of energy in arrays of different colors that I'm going to explain in a moment, that talk about your balances in certain aspects of your life and imbalances in other aspects of your life. So we're going to get into it. These are the terms that I'm going to use. So just in case you don't know what chakras are or any of these words mean, when I say them, you'll understand, after I give this brief description. If I say that a chakra is open, that means that it's working at a great capacity that is allowing us to work at our optimum potential. So it's leading us to our highest good. It's working not in overdrive. It's not working in a closed state or a fractured state. It's working full functioning, helping us succeed. Balanced. When I say that a chakra is overdriven or is too open, it means that it might be a chakra that has to dominate because another chakra is closed and isn't functioning. So the chakra is emitting so much energy that it actually ends up draining your energy as a whole. So you are not in balance at all because you're relying on one chakra to do all the work, and that's not what its jobs are. There's a reason why we have 7 chakras, because they all have their own jobs, to align us individually on their own spectrum. Think about it like that because it is color. And lastly, when I say that a chakra is closed, that means that it usually means that it's hazy, cloudy, imbalanced, and it's not working to its fullest potential. So it's causing actually lack of self-esteem, it's causing procrastination, it's causing doubts. Basically, when a chakra closes, it closes off the positive attributes that chakra can actually give you when it is open and blooming and glowing. So those are the terms, and now let's get into each chakra. Yay! I love this part. Muladhara in Sanskrit, the root chakra, is the first chakra. This chakra is red, is the first chakra, and it starts from the hips physically and down all the way to the feet. That's how the energy flows. And this deals with the 3 S's. The 3 S's being security, safety, and stability. Those are the things that make a foundation, and that's what makes someone feel safe. honestly. If we feel safe, then people can actually feel like they have a chance to flourish. If their safety has been violated, if their stability has been violated, if their security has been violated, if any of this feels like it's turbulent, then this person is going to have a hard time opening up to people or creating solid foundations themselves, and might be a bit of wanderers. When this chakra is blocked or closed, sometimes you're going to feel like you have scattered thoughts, that you're going to feel very indecisive. You're going to feel like you have deep-seated doubts in yourself based off of things that have happened to you, not things that you have actually done. Svadhisthana, the sacral chakra, is located right below the navel, and it's orange, like this beautiful orangey sunset color. And that is the pit of passion, the pit of desire. This is where our creativity comes from. This is where our lust comes from. But when this chakra is cloudy, one might feel a sense of isolation and a sense of repressed creative ability. This is the pit of desire. This is the pit of sensual indulgence. When this chakra, when the sacral chakra is cloudy, a person will feel a sense of creative repression. They'll feel like they're being stifled, suffocated, not be able to have freedom of expression often, and often have times of complete and total isolation from everybody, even those who are closest to them. And when a cloudy sacral chakra manifests itself in your real life, it will show up as repressed creativity, it will show up as sexual dysfunction, and it can also show up as frigidness towards your loved ones, towards your partner, and you really might not mean it that way. But this is it, and let's get to the next one, which is going to be our solar plexus. Manipura, the solar plexus, is really located right above the navel, and it's this yellow sunlight that blooms and shines glowing out of you, just like sunshine. I don't know how else, like daisies, like sunflowers, like all the most beautiful yellow things you could imagine. That's where it's coming from. And just like the sun shines bright and has a great sense, large sense within the scale of our little solar system, think about the power it has when you have a sun, when you have a star inside of yourself. It represents this chakra, this solar plexus chakra represents your will and your freedom of self, your true expression of self. Imbalances with the solar plexus ego can go either way, and they're both kind of sucky. So either a person is going to have low self-esteem if it's very, very closed and not really trust themselves, have a lot of doubt in themselves, not really have a lot of will, or will maybe not go away or along with the crowd, but they might stay away from the crowd because they don't trust themselves even around people. Versus on the other spectrum, that if it's out of balance, that a person can have an overinflated sense of ego because their chakra is just so overdriven that is working overtime because maybe one of the other chakras are being closed, and maybe they don't have the desire to do something, but they have the will to do something. So the solar plexus works overtime, possibly if, like, let's say the sacral chakra were closed, right? Okay. Let's get to the next one, which happens to be boom, 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 the heart. Anahata in Sanskrit, the heart chakra being the color green, like clovers, like sage, like sweetgrass, like all the beautiful things that grow out of the earth. That's how I see and visualize this chakra. I visualize this chakra as growth, as a garden literally growing out of your chest and allowing the love that you have to nurture and be the soil that blooms into the ideas and the hopes that you hold in and dream for yourself. That's what your heart chakra really represents. It really represents, and if you take good care of this garden, that's a sense of self-care. So also loving other people means that you have to be able to show that love and that gratification and that sense of cherishment for yourself before you can give it to others, so you can know how to love other people and what you should be expecting and accepting from other people as well, so that they're allowed to be in your garden and not, pluck all your flowers and, uproot the grass and, put a parking lot. You know what I'm saying? They're just like Joni Mitchell was saying. Like you have to have a very open perspective about where other people are coming from with their experiences. But when it comes to nurturing your own self, you have to do self-care and self-reflection in order to grow and bloom and be the person that you're going to become. This chakra represents relationships also in general, be that platonic or romantic. But when closed, it can have a large effect on how we see all relationships in general. How our first relationships, being our parents, will affect us when we have, our own children, or it affects us when we meet our own partners. And we don't know what our partners have necessarily been through. We just know what they tell us. And they could have been through something equally as bad, or, equally as traumatic, or maybe nothing even similar, so they might not be able to empathize necessarily in the way that you need, or can facilitate the love that you need. Not in a way that's selfish, but in a way that they just can't do it because the understanding isn't there. And that's no one's fault, That's just the facts of life. Again, if this chakra is blocked, a person might also feel a sense of depression, a lack of trust in other people, because of the hurt that they might have gone through, a lack of trust in themselves. And if this person also, on the other end, has an overridden chakra that is very open, a very open heart chakra, they might be easily taken advantage of. They might easily give away their energy, so they might just get completely and totally drained so much. Like, you always have that friend that's like, gosh, I'm so tired, and it's kind of like, then stop doing everything for everybody. Sometimes you need a break. But when you are a heart chakra person, it's very difficult to turn off your emotions and to not care about people. Just keep in mind that you have to make time for self-care and nurture your own garden before you go watering someone else's plants, And that leads us into Visuddha, the throat chakra, which is light blue, like the sky, and all the vastness and possibilities that the sky can hold, and how wide and vast it is. Think about how strong and vast and bombastic your voice can actually be. How powerful your voice can actually be. And it's the color of something that reflects something else. So our voice reflects our mind, and the sky reflects the ocean, which is deep and very vastly unknown. We don't know that much about our mind because sometimes we don't want to go there. We don't know that much about the ocean either. We only know about maybe, 1% of how much of the ocean really is. We don't know or have discovered that much or traveled that much of it. We don't know that much about the human brain. But at the same time, we have ways of seeing reflections of these greatness, the feelings we're trying to convey. That's what the sky is to the ocean, and that is what your voice is to your mind. The throat chakra obviously is the center of freedom. It represents your ability of communication. If this chakra is blocked very much and the person cannot communicate well with other people, and they have social anxiety sometimes, you'll see, people who won't even ask the waiter, for anything because they don't want to be a nuisance. Even if the person brought them the wrong food, they would rather just not say anything and just suffer with what they have. Even if they don't like that, even if they're allergic to it, they would rather just not be a bother because it's so difficult for them to speak up for themselves. And a lot of times, and a lot of reasons why they have a hard time saying what they want to say is because they're afraid of the repercussions that are going to come from what they have said, and they don't want to be judged negatively, especially if this is a chakra that is very important to them, but they cannot use. So you just keep that in mind. If you ever see someone who's having a hard time communicating, that might be something that they're dealing with, like a closed throat chakra, and just reach out and give them an opportunity to speak to you, and just be an ear to listen. Don't necessarily engage, but just be an ear that they can speak to, because a lot of times that's all people really need. They just need someone to vent and exhale with, just to let it go. However, when this chakra is too open, a person will be very, very chatty, will talk excessively, will talk about themselves a lot. You can barely get a word in edgewise. When they're asked to speak, oftentimes they are filled with great anxiety, even when they're put on the spot. Even if they want to be having, if they want to have the spotlight, they have a great sense of anxiety, because this is like an adrenaline rush for them. This is like something that they get very excited about, the fact that they're finally getting to be heard. And also, if this is a very, very extreme case of someone who's very open in their throat chakra, they can be a very arrogant person. Yeah, it happens. And now to our next chakra, the Ajna chakra, the third eye, but also, we're going to get into it, the pineal gland. It's known as the third eye, and it's supposed to be located, like, say, right here, in the middle of your forehead, right there. And it's supposed to be a place of intuition, indigo, very deep royal colors that convey wisdom, truth, and knowledge. And this part of the metaphysics is connected to something that is scientific, but for some reason, I just feel like there is not a lot of research on it. The pineal gland in the brain is linked to the third eye. So people who have an uncalcified pineal gland, who stay away from fluoride waters, who drink alkalized waters instead, often have more insight, are often more prone to having, let's say, visions, more prone to having deeper insight into certain conversations, or just about life in general. They're just things that are seen, or abilities that are had, like foresight, almost, as in a sense you might think your friend is psychic because they said something was going to happen, and sure enough it did. Now, some people don't think that it's necessarily real. They might think that maybe because of this person might just be more aware to situations that other people would be blind to because of the fact that their pineal gland is calcified. But if you do believe in, the possibility of the supernatural, my name is Faith, then I would say that it is a possibility that sometimes we can tap into something if we aren't poisoning our bodies, or if we know at least what we're putting in our bodies and what it's going to do to us. If we're going to affect our intuition, I really don't think it's worth drinking water out of the tap, and that making sure you at least have alkalizing drops. I have them. It's really not that hard. When this chakra is hazy, the person will have deep doubts in themselves. They will have deep insecurities about themselves. They will not trust a single thing that anybody says because they can't trust a single thing that they even think. It's torturous. It makes a person very, very indecisive. And when you're indecisive, especially if this is a closed chakra, it means that you kind of can't trust your gut because you don't know what it's telling you, because it's not telling you anything, because it's not connected, it's not open. It's like, I'm not helping you right now, and you're not doing the work to open it up necessarily because you're already frustrated that it's closed. And so you have to calm yourself down and recenter yourself and figure out why parts of you are shutting down, why your intuition would shut down, and maybe have you in the frying pan, not in the fire, but in the frying pan, maybe to teach you a little bit of a lesson to trust your intuition a bit more. Now, when this chakra is too open, sometimes, and I've experienced this, your actual forehead, like right in that spot, it will feel like it's wet. It feels like there's like a faucet, like a little faucet, and it's just like it feels wet right here. Like, just, I don't even know how to explain it. And it just feels very open. You're very receptive and very sensitive to everything that's around you, which can be incredibly overwhelming if you are not expecting it and if you don't know how to deal with it. I've been dealing with it for a long time, but I mean, I don't take it for granted that it's not something easy to deal with every single day. You may have fantastic foresight, but have a jaded view of reality and a distorted, like, skewed view on how you rationalize your own actions. If this is something that is overridden, you might give into delusions very, very easily. So be careful. If you want to open up your third eye and you're like, oh, I want to know, I want to be able, no, be careful, because you can easily fall into that trap of, oh, I want to be so spiritual, and then lose your sense of self. And you have to live in the physical world and you have to live in the spiritual world. You can't just pick and choose one if you've been called to do both, because you were called to do your earthly job because you were born. And if the spirits contacted you in this life, that means that you're called to do some spiritual work also when you're here. But that doesn't mean that you don't have the obligations to actually be here in the present. The ancestors give you messages to help you now, to lead you to your future. They already know what's going to happen, so the future to them is whatever. To us, it's something that we're praying for. To them, it's something that they haven't even promised. Think about it that way. And lastly, the crown chakra, Sahasrara. And technically, your crown is right here from the top, and like as far as your hand can go flat like this above your head. That's like the area of your crown. Technically, it's the space around you as well that is also a part of your chakras, right? So it's the same way for the root chakra, how it's, it starts at the hips and goes all the way down to the feet. This is the same for the crown. Think of it that way, as like portals, or as like, vectors basically, with energy flowing through and out and around and all through you, right? So the crown chakra is the realm of lofty ideals and higher consciousness, but if this is too open, a person will lose touch with reality. It'll be like floating on cloud 9, and you will just lose complete and total sense of self, because you'll be living in imagination land. You won't be living in what's really happening. You'll be living in the future. You're going to be living in a reality that you created in your mind. So we have to be careful, especially if we want to. When you start becoming a spiritual person, this is what I'm learning very difficultly, in my own way, that, just because, I'm getting all of this stuff, you know what I'm saying, from, spiritually, I still have to be here present and not just get so lost up in the clouds. I have to keep my feet here on the ground. I have to keep myself grounded. And if you meet someone who has a closed chakra, it might be someone who kind of is a little bit cold, someone who doesn't really have a humanitarian nature, so to speak. They could disregard they might be this person might be very cynical. They might disregard other people's feelings, very closed-minded sometimes, not able to see other people's perspectives, a little stubborn, and they'll be very disconnected to a higher consciousness and the idea of a higher consciousness, possibly. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. None of these things, being closed or blocked or any that is bad, because it's not like that's something that's irreversible. It's not like that's something that's permanent. We are constantly evolving. We are constantly trying to find our alignment, and our environment's constantly changing, so we're constantly trying to find our alignment. And that's fine. So we don't have to worry about it. We just have to learn who we are so that we can be better versions of ourselves every single day when we wake. So I will be making more videos about each chakra, one for each chakra, and get more in depth about what each chakra is, and about the stones and the crystals that go with it, and more about the tones that go with it, and the colors, and it's gonna be a whole thing. So stay tuned if you want to learn about each chakra in particular, because I'm definitely going to do a series of that. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, hit me up in the comments below, give my subscribe button a kiss, and remember to shine from every angle, like a diamond, like me, like you, as well. One love.